Mike Palm on the desk, and it is time, like we do every Thursday here on the show, Palm's Pressing 3. What do we have for Michael today?
Number one, Michael, a popular betting prop every year is first coach to be fired. You could probably draw a line through almost half of them. Shanahan, Reed, Tomlin, Peyton, Doug Peterson, Dable, Sirianni, just to name a few. Who are your 5 hottest seats heading into the season, and who better perform and perform early to cool his seat? I'd list Staley, Stefanski, McCarthy, Salah, and Dennis Allen as my 5. But could the best coach in the league up in Foxborough actually be on a hot seat? Or could Buffalo be growing impatient with McDermott not delivering in their perceived window? So, Michael, who are your 5 hottest seats?
Well, I think the hottest seat is Rivera because there is expectations and he's got to get it turned around, and there's a new owner. And the new owner is going to come in and collect data and see it. The second one for me would be Stefanski because if this team doesn't start fast and they start to dwindle away, I think they have no choice but to make a change, even though Stefanski fits the model of what they want to be able to do. Todd Bowles is another one. I think Todd Bowles is going to fall victim of a remodeling or a reconstruction, if you will, and he wasn't there in terms of the head coach, and this is not going to be a very good team. So, to me, those three, Staley, the reason I don't have him as the top candidate is because the Spanos family typically doesn't act and behave in that manner. I think part of making this bet also is understanding who the ownership group is. And the reason I led with Rivera is because he doesn't know this owner. And this owner's coming in, and if it starts badly in Washington, which it shouldn't based on the schedule, people are going to look to him to make a move, and most owners want to make the fans happy immediately.
Question 2, Michael. You could win a quick bar bet if you ask the average fan to name the starting running backs of the last 3 Super Bowl champions. 7th-round pick Pacheco and KC last year, followed by whoever the Rams and Bucks rolled out the previous 2 years. So one could see how the running back position has been devalued from a salary cap and importance pie. However, you always talk about running backs that are, quote, weapons. And Dalvin Cook, Saquon, and Josh Jacobs all fit the bill and are unhappy with their status, Cook being a free agent now. Has the pendulum swung too far, or maybe not? And as a great player as Cook is, having run for 1,000 yards 4 straight seasons, and still relatively in his prime at age 27, is there a team he can put over the top, or does it not even deserve the ink and oxygen it's getting?
Well, I definitely think there's a team he could improve significantly, and that would be the Washington Commanders. They don't have a back like him. They don't. They don't have someone that can really. When they had J.D. McKissick, they were a better offensive team. Even with Tyler Heineke and no one at quarterback, they were better because he could make someone miss in the open field and run with it. So I do think he would make Washington better. He'd add to New England's team. I don't know what he would do for Miami because Miami's not interested in running the football. They were 31st in the league. I think this, though, as it relates to running backs, I think there has to be an evidence of making plays in the passing game, right? McCaffrey's the anomaly because he can play in the slot and he also can run the football. Like Cook can as well, like Kamara, who makes $11 million. See, the contracts are all based on the receiving element of the game. It's not about can you run. Runners are available. It's what do you do to impact the passing game. Saquon Barkley averaged under 7 yards a catch, and he's a really good player. But you need more. I mean, Nick Chubb makes $11 million a year too. Nick Chubb, is there a better running back than Nick Chubb in the league? This is the market, right? And because they have such a short life expectancy in terms of playing, it's hard to get that second contract. That's why we don't see these numbers expand to the level that everybody thinks they should, because there's really not a lot of second contracts. These are contracts done after their rookie contract, and so no one pays a running back when he's after 29, 30 because he's too old. It gets there. So it's really part of the system as much as it is the analytics.
Michael, does it make a difference to you at all that these players are coming out and being vocal about saying that they feel that they're undervalued and trying to make the case for guys that are coming up after them as well as getting their own payday?
Well, I mean, it's really the law of football, right? So there's just a surplus of running backs, and there's nothing that you can do. I mean, Josh Jacobs is a great player, but there's nothing you can do to when the money is determined by who gets signed. I mean, the owners didn't just arbitrarily say we're only going to pay running backs $9 million and that's it. This is collectively bargained by the pool of running backs. McCaffrey being the high number, some other player being the low. They all get dumped in here, and here comes the franchise tag. So, and then no one wants to extend running backs. You know, the people will extend receivers. They don't extend running backs because they feel like that contract will never be fulfilled. This is a lot about the second contract. You know, your rookie contract, you come in, do you get that big second contract? That's what enhances the pool. Think about it that way. Russell Wilson's money, this was his third or fourth contract. That's how the quarterback numbers keep going up.
Final question, Michael. Maybe the most fascinating team for me heading into the summer is the Tennessee Titans, whose win total sits at just 7.5. 2 short years ago, they were the number 1 seed and dominated the Bengals in defeat. Last year, with both hands tied behind their backs and train wreck Malik Willis under center, they took the Super Bowl champs to overtime in Arrowhead and should have beaten everyone's darling Jags, even with Joshua Dobbs. You still have a top 3 coach in the league in Vrabel. You brought in a new GM who will face pressure to win. Tannehill knows he's on borrowed time with the high pick invested in Levis. Henry spent the offseason hearing his name in trade rumors. So what are this year's marching orders for this team in a watered-down division that they led really all of last year to Week 17? This team might be the toughest handicap in the league from a win total and week-to-week basis until Levis is inserted, and you'll know they waved the white flag on their season. So what are their marching orders and expectations this year?
Well, I think knowing Vrabel, their expectations are they're going to win. They want to prepare to win. And this is a team that is all about their style, right? Everybody says they don't have a lot of skill. Well, they really don't want – they want skill. They need skill. But the way they play, they slow the game down. And they want Henry to dominate. They want him to be the lead back. And they've got this kid Spears from Tulane who gives them a little bit of a change of pace back, which will help Henry. And then they're built on their ability to win the kicking game. Win on defense. This defensive front's really good. Their defense can be very good. And they're physical, and they're tough to play, and they don't make mistakes. They don't lose games typically. And if Tannehill can just operate within that framework. Now, what happens if they get behind early in the game, this is not a catch-up team. But they have to play a certain style, and that style lends itself to winning 8, 9, maybe 10 games because they're not going to make mistakes. They're not going to have penalties. They're not going to turn the ball over, and they're not going to play outside their comfort zone. So I don't think you can underestimate them. I don't think this is a complete teardown. I think they're remodeling the team. They're trying to get their cap. Look, they could go to Ryan Tannehill and redo his contract tomorrow. He's at $25 million, paragraph 5. But they don't want to do that because they want to be able to put themselves in position. They redid their offensive line. They've got Dillard from Philadelphia. They drafted Stefanski from Northwestern. That's the left side of their line. I actually think that they'll be very competitive because for all we talk about, Malik Willis not getting first downs, they had Joshua Dobbs playing quarterback last year for them with a bad offensive line, a lot of guys hurt on defense, and Jacksonville struggled to beat them until they got the strip sack by Josh Allen late in the fourth quarter. I just think coaching matters in the league. I wrote about that for the VSiN betting guide. I think you have to take a look at that every single week. They've changed offensive coaches, defensive coaches. I think this will be a surprise team in the sense I don't think they'll win 12 games, but I do think they'll be competitive.
Yeah, maybe look at that over 7.5 and the win total as far as the division goes, plus 350, 4-1 odds, various spots. What do you think? Can they be competitive in that division? The Jags, obviously, an odds-on favorite right now.
Yeah, I like the win total over, actually, because I agree with Michael that Vrabel will play this like it's a playoff team and not like it's in a total rebuild, just trying to get Levis in there by midseason.
I like that, the remodel. Instead of remodel, retool, not a rebuild. It's good verbiage there.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.